yes, I have finally done it again after about 3 years. No, it's about like 2 years, I think. I finally reached G1 again, and I know I'm not gonna keep it, so I'm gonna just record a video right now as we're speaking, which is also the reason I still got my really messy shit-ass webcam. But sample, just shut the fuck up, okay? We're gonna get into the content. It's gonna be pretty much mostly analytics today, so there's not gonna be any montages around. Well, maybe a little, but not as many as in my other videos. This is such a weird unit. Yeah, you want a second skill my Triana here, but I don't think this is gonna kill. Oh, this is gonna kill though. There's gonna be some actual insight. I'm gonna teach you how I personally draft and how I make my own box work. Now, I think the first thing that we want to talk about is gonna be my first pick. It really determines which sort of directions you want to go for in your draft eventually and how you want to kind of shift around. Now, the first pick for the last like 2 years for me personally was mostly Ciara. The reason for that was because she kind of allowed me to transition from turn 1 very easily into turn 2. She has a speed lead, she has decent base speed. I basically can make her work in most of my comps. Now, this time around, I really sat down and like thought about my own monster box against what do I actually end up losing most of the time and kind of go forward from there. And I made a leap of faith. I chose the Bison, which I know it's not something like completely out of the meta. Pretty much everyone and their mom at G1 has him and uses the There is a clear meta, and this guy, even though he got nerfed just a little bit, he's still really, really good. So I ended up ruining him like this. Quite frankly, I could get him to about 180 speed with Violent Will as well if I would really, really try hard. But truth is, this game is not about building monsters. It's a lot about building team comps around him, and things like speed tuning, for instance, is way more important than actually having just one unit as strong as possible. And I've experimented quite a bit. What I did find for me as a Bison user is that I would love to have units like a Chung Pun or like a Water Art Master. Those work extremely well with the Bison, and other people know that as well. And those are the units that I did struggle with for the last couple of seasons. I just fucking hated losing draft just by people having the newest monsters in the game. And I'm not gonna act like I didn't get lucky this season. I'm missing like 2 Net 5s right now at this point that are like triple S tier, double S tier, like really, really strong in my box. And then I basically have a full RTA draft. Which ones, you might ask? I'd say Diana is pretty far up there, which I don't own. And I would still maybe consider Juno to be up there. So if you're wondering, this is what my SWC scroll looks like. But truth is, I kind of already managed without those monsters already. So I'm not going to go full whale mode on this one in particular. And you can kind of already tell why I didn't really get anything above Conqueror in the last couple of seasons. It was all turn 1, but I'm not going to complain about that anymore because now I'm winning and this is balanced. Yeah, so pretty much what ends up happening in about like half of the drafts is when I first pick Bison, people just go either full immunity, so they pick something like Woosa and then Mo Long. So this one is kind of weird because I know he's going to go like Diana here. So I don't want to go Wind Monkey King early. I also can't go Ciara, and if I go Alsharian, he's gonna out-bruiser me. So it's kind of a weird situation for me to be in. So what I normally do is I go Nana for sure, and then I go like maybe Icarus or Alsharian.
Etna is pretty solid here, but maybe you can save it for later.
I don't like drafting Etna into Diana's, and he's gonna do it.
Yeah.
Like, he's still gonna draft it here, even though it's not as good against these 3.
Yeah.
They just all draft Diana with this.
You confuse them. Okay.
And here we go. So my Shio actually has pretty low accuracy. So sometimes that actually does happen where this happens. I'm sorry. I love this game so much sometimes, you know. And I'm still going to go for the third skill here because I feel like I might have a chance. Okay. But this is why
well, you get her down, yeah.
I love the Nemesis Shun, and I love the Violent Nemesis Shun. So instead of going like a lot of strippers, I just started picking him myself and just kind of taking away from other people. If I pick it, they can't. Boom! Also, if I pick Woosa, people barely follow up with Lulus and stuff like that, so I don't always have to go full strippers, because that's like the #1 issue that I have on my account. So because of that reason, I actually ended up building Alsharian as like one of my primary counters, and so far it's working okay-ish. So pretty much what ends up happening when people go like Mo Long and then Woosa is I go the Bison, I go Nana, and then I go Elsharian, which leaves me very vulnerable to stuff like Diana, and then I have to kind of bite the bullet and start picking counters to that. Now, like I said, I do not have a Juno, and I don't really have like any premium LDs, which would kind of fit that spot the best, I would say. But I did build stuff like a Shren, for instance, and kind of tried whittling her into a Bruiser build, which so far actually works out just fine. She's still missing a bunch of skill ups, which I'd say lost me about 50% of the games that I've used her in. Like, I literally always end up just not killing them in time, more than anything.
Yeah.
And
then now
fingers crossed. Crit. But she's on Bruiser build, so she's not going to kill this. She's
maybe
still not gonna
the
kill.
continuous damage
But
might
Diana's
kill.
going to cut. So I pick up Shren, I pick up things like my Icarus, as well as Kaki from time to time, and one of the best ways to deal with Dianas as well is picking up stuff like the Wind Monkey King, which I would also highly recommend. I barely get to use my Bruisers, so like Antares, for instance, or whatever, against Dianas, because everyone drafts like Diana Woosa or whatever, or like Diana Lulu.
Yeah.
But now, since I first picked Woosa, nobody normally picks immunity, or like they barely do it. So now I get to pick Antares again, which is nice.
Yeah, that's pretty good. And like you have the counter, like Diana, you can force your opponent to pick Diana basically by picking a Woosa. A lot of people go for it, and you get 2 counters for her, and like you're pretty good at that point.
Or they go more of the CC route, which is like Art Masters. And if you know anything about my streams, if you know anything about the way I draft, I've been spending the last year now experimenting and just perfecting my anti-cleave team comps. So I have like an Antares over here, I have my Fire Monkey King, I have my Wind Monkey King, I even have a Raijo build. I have a lot of stuff that hard counters these sort of like full CC, lesser damage teams. And I think the biggest change to my account now has also been Riley. Now pretty much the way I use my Riley is kind of on a weird build. It's less consistent, but since she doesn't have skill ups, I barely pick her as much as I should be with my account. But that is the #1 way I deal with those CC comps, and it works out just great. If you couldn't tell from all of the montages, that's the stuff that I mostly put in my videos there. Nice revenge. Yeah, I think he's gonna give up now. We'll see. The funny thing is, I barely have to fight like people that are trying to cleave me. For some reason, it might just also be that people aren't too familiar with which monsters I have, which is a thing that I'll have to deal with if eventually I might even climb further than that. Like, people are going to be aware that I don't have any like premium LDs and stuff like that, so I don't really can follow up my Bison with things like a Ragdoll, for instance, or let's say like a Water Art Master. So I barely fight people that go like Bastet teams after that, which was one of the main reasons why I first picked Sierra back in the day, so I can kind of contest speed. Haven't really had to deal with that this season, which is really, really nice, because I kind of struggle with that. The funny thing is, I actually feel like Nana isn't as impactful as other monsters in my draft right now. She is being picked quite a lot by my opponents, so I don't really like first picking her myself. Everyone and their mom already starts having counters and feels very comfortable fighting it, but I do like kind of picking it in the middle of my draft when I have my Bison and my opponent goes things like Ciara and let's say like Mo Long. Yeah, so that's my strategy until so far. I've really enjoyed the comments that you guys left in the last couple of videos. I know my YouTube channel isn't that big anymore. I barely get any views. You guys barely get any notifications, which if you watch this video until here, I really appreciate you, alright? But now let's stop all the bitching, because I can really only impact what I'm doing. And I'm doing a lot more montages coming up soon. I'm already working on the next one, and I'm looking forward to seeing what you guys have to say about it, alright? So see you guys in the next video. Bye!
Tell me lies are just a power, all I'm hearing is the